So, welcome back to another December video for the holiday season.
Thanks for joining us. It's Debbie and Sean from Just a Different Life. Today's topic is trauma. So, mostly children that have been adopted later in life, they experience a lot of trauma. And we're going to give you some tips and ideas on how to handle the holidays in a hopefully more productive way.
Yeah, we've unfortunately experienced an awful lot of children and their traumas pre-adoption, and how the holidays can be a real trigger for them. So hopefully some of our learning experience we'll be able to share with you in this video.
And hopefully you don't have to live some of the traumatic holidays that we've lived.
Some of the horror stories that we won't get into. So the holidays can be a real trigger for children that are post-adoption. A lot of these children, when they're younger, don't have memories, so to speak, of what holidays were like. But older child adoptions do cause a lot more issues for the child. A lot of the memories that they have tend to revolve around special occasions. Could be birthdays, it could be Christmas, Easter, anniversaries. Yes, a whole lot of things.
And for a lot of these, they come with some really negative thoughts and issues, that they weren't happy times. You think about it, Christmas can be really stressful for a lot of people. So a family that's not functioning well, this might have just been a bigger problem for them, and that might have been a time where where the child was removed from the home.
That's right. So all sorts of things can trigger these children, which can lead to raging behaviors. So we'll share with you today some of the tips and tricks that we've learned to help. We're by no means an expert in this. And some of the things that we share with you may not work for you. And sometimes they did work for us, and other times they didn't work so well. But we'll share some of our stuff.
So another thing that can be a problem is the guilt around the holiday. So the child's feeling guilty that they're no longer with their birth family, and how can they enjoy the holiday with you, the adoptive family or the foster family, when their birth family is alone without them. So sometimes even that guilt is enough to set the child off.
And it doesn't matter what kind of experience they had previously around the holidays either. Like Debbie says, sometimes that guilt is overwhelming to the child. They have this want or belief that Christmas should be a good time of year and it should have been good in their previous homes, but not always the case.
So long before the holiday season, if you have a chance, start having a conversation with your child about how your family celebrates holidays, and talk to your child about how they celebrated their holidays in the past, and maybe see if you guys can come up with a plan between what your child thinks of the holidays and what you think of the holidays, so that you're meeting both people's needs.
And you might want to find out too from any social workers as to what the holidays were like for the children before or pre-adoption. Things may not have gone so well. There may have been some things that were really good. It's a matter of talking to people ahead of time and trying to avoid the failures if you possibly can. So try to keep things as simple as possible. Don't overdo the holiday season.
So this isn't the year that you want to make up for all the bad holidays that your child has had, because they're probably not going to be accepting of it. It's going to be too much for them, and it might set them into a complete meltdown.
And when we talk about simplify, it's not just simplifying the events surrounding this time of year. It's also simplifying the way you decorate, what you're planning on cooking. I know some people go overboard and got to make 20 different types of desserts.
Oh, I'd like that many.
Oh, I'd like that many desserts too, but try to keep it, and try to include some of your child's favorite things. And this is something you can have a conversation with long in advance, not left to the last minute.
So when we're doing holiday baking, we've always had the kids each pick something that they would like to make for the holiday baking. And that way we have a variety of things, but then the kids have some ownership in that. Like, oh, do you want to try what I made? And that helps with the child, but it's also bringing in the things that they like and maybe the things that mean Christmas for them.
That's right. It helps to connect some of their traditions with some of your traditions. When it comes to gift giving, you've got to be very, very careful and be as fair as possible. And when I say fair, I'm talking more on a dollar value, I would think.
It depends if the child has a sense of the dollar value, but a younger child might be able to notice that, oh, you gave Johnny 5 presents and I only got 1. It might have been that Johnny's presents were the same value as that 1 present, but that the child might not see it that way.
That's right. And they also might look at the size of the present too. Maybe they cost the same, but so-and-so's present is much bigger than my present. They might not understand the value of it. Cost is one way of doing it. Number of presents is another way of doing it. The size of the presents is another way of doing it.
So your child from Truama that might not have received presents, or they might have been sold for drug money for the parents afterwards, being fair is really important to them, and that might be the number one thing for them.
And they will pick up on every little detail. We've experienced this in the past where they've compared and had a sense of what the value is of these gifts, and wondering why you would spend $3 more on somebody else's gift than what was on their gift, because sometimes they can be that meticulous when it comes to the value of gifts.
So it's going to be a challenge for you if you have multiple children to try and keep it as fair as possible. And that includes family that's buying gifts and friends.
And don't set up the expectations for the child ahead of time that they're going to get a lot of things. You want to be very upfront, long in advance, that this is what Christmas is going to look like, or any other time of the year, birthdays or things like that, that it's not going to be everybody buying them everything that they absolutely want.
And their other issue is that a child that's experienced a lot of trauma, they might receive the gift, but guaranteed it's going to be broken by the end of the night. So you might want to limit how much you do spend, because chances are the gift's not going to survive.
That's right. Unfortunately, when children start raging, a lot of times they'll take it out on the gifts that you have just given them, and by the end of the day, those gifts are destroyed. So just be careful with what you buy. Don't overdo it until you get to know the child a little bit more, and then start building up a little bit from there, but definitely not often on the first year or two. So what about expectations around visitations with former foster family or with birth family? A lot of times adoptive children, there are some expectations surrounding visitations.
So we found it helpful if we have the visit either before or just after, not right in the thick of the holiday celebrations, because a lot of times these visits bring up a lot of emotions, and you don't want that to be the catalyst for your holidays to go down the drain.
Yeah, 2 weeks in advance. I wouldn't start planning stuff closer to the event than 2 weeks. You want to keep it as far apart as possible. Still meets the expectations of former foster parents or with birth family.
And the kids, it helps meet the kids' needs.
It does help meet their needs as well, but you have to be able to establish your traditions eventually with the child, and you need a good couple of weeks ahead of time to be able to do that.
And you want the kid to be able to enjoy both their visit with the foster family, the birth family, and to enjoy their new traditions that they are getting with their adoptive family.
Whatever you can do to reduce the stress and anxiety in the child, that's what you're looking for.
So apart from the things that we've just discussed, a lot of the tips that we gave in our video, linked up here, from parenting children with special needs, that those same tips apply for a child with trauma. So we suggest that you go to our video and take a look, and that'll give you some more ideas.
That's right. It all sort of ties together, whether you have a raging child or just a child with various challenges that are not around the raging spectrum, so to speak. Do check out our previous video and leave us a comment below and let us know what you do or what you've done, what you found successful, even some of the things that you found very difficult around. Let's share. We're a sharing community here, and this is what we're all about.
And we want to thank you for joining us. And we hope that you have a great holiday season. And if you have a child of trauma, I hope that it's as peaceful as can be.
Absolutely. Merry Christmas, everybody.
Thanks for joining us. Goodbye.
Goodbye.